Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we'll continue working on our contact app, and we will add the edit and delete functionality into each contact. So let's dive right into it. In order to do that, I will bring back the buttons that I had taken away earlier from the contact detail. So if I go to contact details, remember we brought this code in from Chakra templates. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Chakra templates, the same template, and I'm going to copy over the code. Great, I'm at Chakra template right now. I am looking at the cards section, and the second card from the top, that's the one I copied over. I want the message and the follow button. So if I go to code, there they are. We can copy over the whole stack, the first button, the second button, and then the end of the stack. So I'll copy that, go over to my VS Code, and inside the box element, right here under text, I'll paste these in and import the stack and button. I think that's about it. If I save that, that should bring my buttons in. Let's rename these buttons. One of them will be for delete and the other one would be for edit. So let's make message the edit button, and let's make follow delete button. I don't want it to be blue though, so let's make it red, and same thing here, red. That should do it. Let's see. Yes, it does that. Perfect. Now let's make the edit functionality work. And in order to do that, I need to add a new route. So if I go to index.tsx, I'll create a new route here. And this will be called ID/edit. So I need to know which contact you want to edit. So that will be ID. And then the edit after that will make you go to the edit option. Now remember, we created the contact form already. I do want to reuse it. And in order to reuse it, I may need to pass it some params or props or something to make it remember that it's in the add functionality versus edit functionality. So let me show you what I mean. Let's go to contact form. There we are. Now contact form, what I'll do is I will create two other files called one contact add and the other one contact edit. And I'll use contact form inside that. So let's go ahead and do that. Contact add.tsx. All right, import React from React. Let's hide File Explorer. Export const. This is going to be a named export. Contact add. Return null for now, and it's a function component, like so. And what we will do is import using relative path in the same directory. We will import the contact form. Destructure that out, and we will just render it as is because add functionality doesn't need to do anything more. So I'll just go ahead and put as is. All right, next I need to render this out. So I'll go over to index.tsx and import, instead of contact form, I will import contact add destructure, and paste that where the new option is. So I'll save this. This will error out our browser. That's fine for now. I'll go back to File Explorer, and this time I will copy paste the contact add so I don't have to rewrite all of that logic. Contact edit, and rename that, and then rename the component as well. Perfect. And let's do that same thing in index.tsx. We will copy paste the line, and instead of contact add, it would be edit. Instead of contact add, it would be edit. Copy that over and replace it where the edit route is. Great. We're right when we're doing this, might as well go to contact details and make the edit button work. So let's go to where's the edit button? Control F, Command F will make me search. All right, so in this button, I'll pass on click. Right, so we have many buttons here, so I'll make the handle function a little bit more explicit about what it's about to do. So I'll say handle edit. There we are. And let's go up until the return keyword right there. And I'll do constant handle edit. It's going to be a function. Oh, not square brackets, curly braces. And do we have navigate here? No, we don't. Okay, so we have to use navigate hook from React Router DOM. Call navigate. And in handle edit, we will call navigate, string interpolate, contacts / I have to get the ID somehow and pass edit right after. So how do we get the ID? We have that in the params. Perfect. That just worked out. Okay, great. So if I click edit at this point, I should be able to go to the edit functionality. So let's click on that. Ooh, it didn't like that. Why? Oh, it's not an absolute path. It has to start with a slash, I guess. That's why. Refresh. And yeah, okay, let's click on edit. Perfect, that's working. So the problem was that my route, the direction was not starting with a slash, so it took it as a relative path and it added on top of whatever I had initially, which is not what I want to do. I want to replace the route. All right, so with that done, now what I want to do is change this so that it automatically has the information filled in for the user that I clicked on or the contact that I clicked on. How do we do that? Well, let's start with contact form. In contact form will allow us to provide default values, and default values can be name and description. Remember, that's what we are working with in the form. So with that done, now we have to somehow pass that from the edit, the form edit, because remember there's two layers. There's a form, the contact edit, then there's the contact form, then we have the default values inside the contact form. All right, so let's start writing the interface for it. So I'll say interface is outside of the component. So interface I contact form default values. You have to provide me default values, but not really is optional. And I will accept a name as a string and description as a string as well. So this is the documentation portion of it, not the actual code. I will bring that iContact form interface, pass it to function component like so, and then destructure default value from props and pass it down as is. Perfect. So that should pre-populate our form when we pass the params to it. And if I save this and if I go to new, this should be blank. And if I go to John and click on edit, it's blank right now, which is fine because we're not passing the props just yet. Let's head over to contact edit file. And inside here, we have to somehow find out which contact are we trying to pass down. So we know that based on params. So I'll use params from React Router DOM. It will pass me an ID. So that's the contact ID. Then we will also use context, pass it the contact context. Like so, and then destructure contacts, or actually let's destructure get contact by ID since we have that method to work with. And what you can do is pass default value and get contact by ID. We will get the ID from params, and I think that should just do it for us. Let me think. It's going to return an object which is going to be part of the default values. I think we're good. All right, let's save this. No, we're not. Okay, TypeScript is complaining because ID can be null, I believe, or ID can be a string. So I have to do a parse int here, like we did in the other place. And this should be as string, or I will say this will definitely return something. And oh, I didn't type it properly. Okay, that should do it, I believe. Let's go back to John, click on edit. Perfect, it's working just fine. That means it's pre-populated form, and now I can make changes to it. But again, edit functionality does not exist just yet. When I click on submit, it's going to try and add this this new contact. So let me just change it. For example, I'll say example, submit. When I do that, it takes me to example, but notice that John is still there. It didn't add a John, it just added a new contact. So how do we edit? Well, another thing would be, I think I have to rely on props again, because contact form, if you notice inside the contact form, the handle submit and on submit, they are very specific to add functionality. They're not specific to edit functionality. So what I will do is abstract out some of the code from here, make it so that the form doesn't know what to do on submit. The container for the form, which would be contact add and contact edit, those are the ones that know about what to pass down. So I will accept another prop, call it on submit. It will be a function, and this function will be provided with values, which will be type of any. Again, I'm not typing those out just yet, and I'll save. And what we will do now, again, the browser fails only because I made the on submit a mandatory or required prop, and contact add and contact edit don't have that passed down yet. No need to worry. I'll copy this on submit over to contact add, paste that in, fill in the missing dependency. So in this case, use navigate needs to be brought in, and call it navigate equals, that's one. Add contact, that's coming from our context. So use context, context, and destructure out, add contact like this. All right, so that should do it. On submit should be passed down like this, and we should be all good to go for contact add. I do have to make modifications to contact form because on submit doesn't exist anymore. It needs to be coming from props. So destructure on submit and pass it down to handle submit. That's okay. We don't need navigate anymore. We don't need context anymore. And I think the form now has a single purpose, which is collecting the data, and then submission of the data is handled by the container, which is great. Okay, we're still running into errors. The reason for that is because contact edit doesn't know about on submit yet. So let's teach how to edit the contact here. So first things first, let's start working with our context, which I already have here. And inside the context, I have to give it an API to make changes to an existing contact. How do we do that? Let's go over to context. And inside this provider, I have add contact. I can create a new one called edit contact like this. It's an empty function. I will document that above, so let's do it in two different places. First of them would be the interface. Edit contact will be a function that returns a void, and the void would be, it would accept an ID, and then it would accept a name. Oh, I should say that. Okay, the ID would be number, name would be string, description would be a string as well. All right, so that's what I would expect. And then for edit contact, default value would be an empty function that doesn't return anything, just curlies. That works. And then edit contact function, let's implement that. So I will continue writing the same code. ID, name, name is string, description is string as well. And then we will make modifications to it based on the array. So I'll call set contacts. And inside here now we have to manipulate the array a little bit. First thing would be pass it the array. I'm going to do it on a new line because I believe I'm going to be writing a lot more code here. So I'll spread out the current contacts with a little bit of a twist. I'll filter out our, let me see, contact here. I'll filter out the contact that has the ID that we're working with. If the ID equals to not equals to this, those are the ones that should go. Otherwise, other ones should stay. So that would be the context. Next thing would be inside the same spread, I will add another object. The ID would be type of ID, name would be type of name, and description would be type of description. So that should pretty much give us the edit functionality that we're looking for. And let's pass it down to value. Great. Okay, so now we have the API for editing contact. Let's utilize that in contact edit TXX file. Let's head over there and let's do on submit function, empty function for now. Great. And then we will destructure out edit contact. Oops, I went too fast. Okay, edit contact, and we will pass it the ID, which is provided to us through params, and then the values, which will be provided by the form of type any. We can pass that down, values.name, values.description, like so. And pass on submit down to contact form right here. Save. All right, it's complaining that the ID may be null at this point, I believe. So I'll go ahead and, oh, okay. The same error everywhere. So parse int, make it a number. And yes, just expect that it will not be undefined, and I'll go ahead and save. All right, so at this point, my edit functionality should work. Let's try it out. I'll click on a contact, John, and change the name of John to Sam. Submit, and of course it didn't navigate because I don't have a navigate functionality, but if I go over to my drawer, I can see that Sam is at the bottom, so John is no longer the first contact. It added, which is fine for me, that's okay. But we should navigate out. So let's call use navigate hook and then get the navigate default export. and we will navigate to contacts. Again, start with slash, don't make the same mistake again. Contacts slash, and the ID will be passed down by our params. All right, save that. Let's try again. So let's go to Sally. This time, let's rename Sally with Samantha. All right, let's submit that. And there we go. We can see Samantha is there, and the contact list has been updated as well. And I can add new contacts as well. I can name John description as well, submit. And now I see John, and I can see this, the contact list is updated. Great. Let's quickly add the functionality for delete, and we're pretty much done with our contact app. For delete, it's a pretty simple functionality. We have to add the delete function to our contact context. So let's head over to contact context. Start with the documentation like we have been doing before. So we'll say delete contact. We'll return a void. It will expect a ID of number. And default value would be a empty function that doesn't do anything. And when we actually instantiate it down here, we'll start a new delete contact arrow function. This will get an ID of number. And simply put, I will just copy paste set context and take away the second line. That should pretty much do the delete for us. That means give me all the contacts without the ID that I'm passing you, and that's the new list for you. That's the new array for you. Let's pass delete contact to the value, save, and that should give us the full CRUD application or API for the contact list. Let's go over to contact details, I think. Yes, right there. And we have the delete button somewhere down here, right here. And we will pass a on-click event to it. Handle delete, like this. Scroll up, and right under handle edit, we will start a new function. Call it handle delete arrow function. And we will delete the function. So let's call delete contact. We will pass it the ID of the contact we're trying to delete, and I think that should do it. Yeah, of course we have to parse int here, same way. Right there, and then exclamation mark to make sure that it says it's not defined. So handle delete should work. I do want to do another thing. I want to redirect the user away from the current page to say just go directly to contacts, the main page. I think that's a page. We'll find out. Let's save this. All right, so I want to delete, let's say John. Delete. Okay, and contacts is not a page, I guess. So let's just go to root of our app, and let's refresh. I'll go to John again, delete. There we go, we're on the root. And if I go to my drawer, I don't see John anymore. So we have the full create, read, update, and delete functionality in our contact app. I'll see you all in the next video.